In this week's Seder Tzav, in describing the levush, the clothing of the Kohen as he is to engage in the offering of the karbanos brought on behalf of Klal Yisrael, v'lavasha kohen midovad, we are told that he is to wear his tunic, which is made out of linen, vad, but it need be midovad. It need be exactly according to the measure of the man, neither too long nor too short. And based upon this expression of mido, of the measurement, the Baal HaTurim cites a pasuk from Shmuel Beis in his description of Yoav, in his pursuit of Sheva ben Bichri, who was rebelling against David HaMelech. We are taught that Yoav chagor mido levusho, that Yoav had girded himself with the exact measure of his clothing. States the Baal HaTurim, this is to instruct us, by extension, shebigdei kahuna, that much as mido is mentioned by Yoav in his engagement in war, and mido vad is mentioned by the Kohen offering the karbanos in the Mishkan and the Batei Mikdash, we are to understand the lesson shebigdei kahuna hayu ke'ein bigdei milchama, that the clothing of Kohanim worn in their service of the Almighty were nothing less than the clothing of milchama, of war. In what sense? Well, this Wednesday night and Thursday morning in Mirz Hashem, when we engage in the reading of the Megillah, celebrating Purim, we're told that when Mordechai HaYehudi informed Esther HaMalka of the nefarious plans of Haman, exhorting her to present herself before the king Achashverosh, even unannounced, unsummoned, to plead on the behalf of her nation to be spared from decimation at the hands of Haman HaRasha, Esther instructs him to go to the Jews, have them fast 3 days, and she will present herself. Vayehi bayom hashlishi, and on that third day of fasting, Vatilbash Esther Malchus, Esther adorned herself with kingship. What does that mean, with kingship? Says Rashi, Malchus, bigdei Malchus, clothing of kingship. Clothing of a queen, presenting herself before the king to beg the king on behalf of her people, to present her requests, to cash in all of her cards and chips of favor that he has carried with him as his wife, as his queen, because otherwise, Klal Yisrael will simply be written out of history. And if this is the case by Esther HaMalka, then by extension, I suggest, when the Kohanim engage in the Avodah, in the Batei Mikdash of the Mishkan, they're presenting themselves before HaKadosh Baruch Hu on behalf of Klal Yisrael. They're bringing chatos, they're bringing sin offerings on behalf of people who understandably feel themselves distant from HaKadosh Baruch Hu because of their actions or inactions. They're presenting themselves before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, bringing karbanos on behalf of Klal Yisrael, who find themselves in the Chatzar, in the courtyard of the Beis HaMikdash during the Shalosh Regalim, so grateful for the blessings they have received by Kadosh Baruch Hu, by their ability to ascend harabayas, to walk up, placing one foot in front of the other. They have so much to be grateful for. And what about the people on whose behalf todos, thanks offerings, are being offered, to express gratitude to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for having been saved from illness or prison, or the sea, potential catastrophe at sea, or wandering in the midbar or in the desert. So much to present ourselves before HaKadosh Baruch Hu with. And when they do so, they wear bigdei milchama, clothing of war, because they understand that they're representing all of Klal Yisrael. And it's the bottom of the ninth inning. And they have to present before HaKadosh Baruch Hu all of the reasons for the tchinos, the supplications, and the pleas, through which and for which HaKadosh Baruch Hu should grant Klal Yisrael forgiveness and continued bracha, and life and prosperity and salvation from their enemies. We know nowadays that we no longer have the avodah because we don't have a Beis HaMikdash. And Chazal tell us that the substitute for avodah is tefillah, is our davening, which means that when we stand Shemona Esrei before the Almighty, we need gird ourselves to thank Him appropriately, to beg Him and to ask Him for continued blessing, to beg Him and to ask Him for blessings that we have not necessarily received as yet, but we are so fully dependent upon Him to be granted. All wearing bigdei milchama, understanding the stakes, understanding just what lies in the balance. On Purim, if you dress up or you don't dress up, but when you stand Shmona Esrei and thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for having been spared from the machinations of Haman, remember, as we need to even before Purim and thereafter, that we stand before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and it's serious business. It's war. It's war in terms of what the stakes are and what we have to ask for, and that we're being asked, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees to it, that at the end of the day, and as a result of our tefillos, we are victorious. Have a wonderful Shabbos, a freilich in Purim, and understand just what HaKadosh Baruch Hu has granted us.